welcome to another day of One Room Schoolhouse. Today we have something I'm very excited to show y'all, and it's this right here. This is a 1786 vellum document signed by Benjamin Franklin. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but Benjamin Franklin is one of the most famous founding fathers, did just so many incredible things, in addition to signing the Constitution. And so this actually, does this complete our collection of Constitution signers?
What's cool about this particular document is when you look at Constitution signers, and by the way, you said he's one of the most famous founding fathers, so let's kind of just put it in perspective. Founding fathers would include the guys who signed the Declaration, 56 of those, the guys who wrote the Constitution, 55 of those, the guys who signed the Constitution, 39 of those, and the guys who did the Bill of Rights, 90 of those. And then you have guys who didn't really sign these documents like Patrick Henry or John Jay. They're very famous names, some of the generals, etc. So there's about 200, 250 folks we would call founding fathers, but of the signers of the Constitution, this now means that in the collection, and we got thousands of documents in the collection, thousands of documents, we now have something from every single signer of the Constitution. Wow. So this completes that part of the collection. So even though we've got books and writings from these guys, now we have signed documents, all of them. And one of the problems we have today is, of course, Ben Franklin, you said he's one of the more famous guys. But how about guys who signed the Constitution like, let's take Jacob Broome or William Few or Hugh Williamson or whatever. People never heard those names. Yeah, exactly. As far as people know, and that's part of the problem we have with American history is we kind of look at these guys as a group, and the group of founding fathers were all racist or whatever the characterization may be, and we don't even know who they are. And by the way, shortly after Franklin signed this document, he becomes the leader of the Pennsylvania Abolition Society, and he's the guy who takes the first anti-slavery petition to the first federal Congress to say, guys, we've got to deal with this. So even the characterization that happens when you just know 3 or 4 or 5 of the 200 is not even accurate in all the things we see. But this is just a fun piece, and that it really kind of shows the individuality of these guys and how that when you know them, there's so much more to the story than just making them part of the group and saying, well, they're this or that or whatever stereotype we put on them. They are individuals. Yeah. They're really, really neat.
And anytime you group people into just this body of people who all did this one thing, you're going to lose a ton of the story, and you're going to lose a ton of the nuance, and that's one of the ways.
And you're going to lose a ton of the accuracy because those really over stereotypical characterizations really don't fit. And so you lose a lot, you're right.
And one of the most interesting things that I think I've enjoyed over the past few years being here is reading the actual debates in the Constitutional Convention, because then you get a very clear picture of just how different all of these people are, because they're basically coming from different sides of the country, and largely the states at that time kind of considered themselves their own little country. So people from all over, basically the American world with different thoughts, different backgrounds, different opinions, different beliefs. You have guys like Franklin.
Even if you take Franklin, Franklin is by far the old guy of the convention. But there's people sitting in the convention 60 years younger than him or 55 years younger than he was.
It's almost like what we
have, easy there. But you have that difference in age. You also have a lot of these guys that came out of big cities, like he came out of Philadelphia, and you have John Dickinson who came out of a farm in Delaware. I mean, they're so different in so many ways. There's some guys from the South and guys from the North and guys from New England and guys from Western Virginia, which is out in the frontier, and they're just so different. And when you learn them as individuals, they really have interesting stories.
And interesting stories. It brings the foundation of our nation to life. And I think it really helps people latch on to the ideas that make America so different from the rest of the world. Because as you go through and you learn about their background, you learn about Franklin during his early days, and the Stamp Act and some of the early indications of the man he would later become. All of a sudden, when you see him in the last years of his life advocating for freedom at the national stage, you understand what brought him to have those sincerely held convictions that literally changed the world. And so Franklin, for us, this is such a fun and important document. And in fact, we're actually getting close to having all the guys from the Declaration too, isn't that right?
Yeah, we're real close. Just a few guys we don't have the Declaration yet, and that's because I think one of the guys in the Declaration, there's only 5 known signatures or something like that.
5 or 6.
5 or 6, and it's very few, and they're super expensive because of scarcity. But we're still after that one.
If you see a piece of old paper that has Button Gwinnett written on
right.
it, don't tell anybody else. Come to us first.
That's right. Let us know.
Yeah, we want first dibs on that one.
But we have like the original justices in the U.S. Supreme Court. There were 6 justices. We have 5 of the 6. So we're really getting close on so many collections having the originals that go with each of those individuals. And it's not that the content of this is just earth-shattering, because this is a land grant. But what it is a connection to the guy. And so Franklin, he goes to Congress with a petition to end slavery everywhere. But yet earlier in his life, he was a slave owner. So what was it that got him to leave that off and be an anti-slavery? And that's what's fun about these guys, is seeing their progress, seeing their stories, see how they change over time. They are individuals. And so this is just a fun piece of history that's representative of the individuality that's back there for these guys.
And that's exactly right, David. And that's why we love getting to do what we get to do. And we're so thankful for everybody who is excited to learn about history as we are.
Yeah.
And we're so excited to daily discover new things about these guys and the stories that they lived. And if you ever have an opportunity to come out to the library and go through a tour, we'd love to show you some of these, because it really does change our connection with our own nation, with our past, to look at this document and realize Ben Franklin's hand was right there several hundred years ago. And a few months after that, he goes on to be such a leader in framing the Constitution, right? The document that we still live under in a society today, the longest lasting written constitution in history. Mm-hmm. The guy who helped do that signed this just before, going on to do that incredible work. Yeah. And so it really does bring history to life, and it preserves history from the people who might want to ignore it or erase it or change it. And that's really why we're here.
And one little caveat, if you get a chance to come see this remarkable stuff, you would love it. Just call ahead before you come, because we have a lot of stuff going on,
and
other people and groups, and there's just times when it's too full to get anybody else in there, or there's taping going on, or there's TV program or something. Come see it, but call ahead.
Yeah, go online too. You can go to WallBuilders.com, go to the tours section and find out all the information about that. But you can also go to our library section and look at a ton of the documents that we have uploaded, get high resolution images, and really kind of take charge of learning the history for yourself. And we hope you can join us next time on some more episodes of One Room Schoolhouse.